Hello again, this is Bunton with your Visual Functional Mathematics at Level 1, Part 2 on Measuring. Today's lesson is on weight, capacity and time. As I told you in my previous lesson that I'm combining a number of topics together to save you time and the cost of downloading the lessons. But more importantly, it will give you a clearer picture of the topics you have to cover during the course of this course. So we're dealing with weight, capacity and time. You will cover the following: units of and measuring weights, the difference between capacity and volume, and the different units of time. There are quite a few keywords here because we're dealing with three different topics, and they include kilograms, kilos, grams, heavy, capacity, volume, hold, clock, time, conversion. Again, nearly all of these words you probably are familiar with. I don't know about the units of measure, whether you've dealt with kilos and grams. But heavy, capacity, volume, hold, clock, time, conversion, you're probably familiar with, but whether you understand their meanings is another question. So this is an opportunity for you to understand meanings and to know exactly how they apply in maths. We start with weight. Units of weight tells us how heavy something is. Weight is how heavy something is. Grams and kilograms are two of the common units of weight, as you can see from the little blue box there. To change between grams and kilograms, you have to multiply or divide by 1,000. So to change from grams to kilograms, you divide by 1,000, and to change from kilograms to grams, you multiply by 1,000. Example: how many grams are there in 12 kilograms? Kilo means 1,000. So what do? You have to multiply. You multiply 12 by 1,000 and you'll have 12,000 grams. You need to be able to solve problems involving weights. Example 1. Rowan has a bad back. His doctor told him not to lift more than 3,000 grams at a time. Rowan has bought 1 bag of flour, 2 bags of rice and 4 chocolate bars. If he doesn't follow the doctor's instructions, he could injure himself or worsen his injury already. So can Rowan carry all of his shopping back safely? Let's look at the answers. First, you need everything in the same units. So change the weight of the flour into grams. So 1.5 kilograms, you multiply by 1,000 to get 1,500 grams. 2. Work out the weight of the rice and the chocolate. And don't forget, he's bought his 2 bags of rice and 4 chocolates. So you have to take the quantity into account. Rice at 500 grams times 2 is equal to 1,000 grams. And chocolate at 38 grams times 4 is equal to 152 grams. Add them all up together, which is 1,500 grams plus 1,000 grams plus 152 grams, which is 2,652 grams. Compare that with the maximum weight instructed to carry, which is 3,000 grams. So yes, he can carry his shopping back home safely. Example 2. Aaron has taken 5 boxes in a lift. The lift can carry 500 kilograms at a time. Each box weighs 100 kilograms. Aaron weighs 90 kilograms. How many trips will he have to carry? Now, when you're looking at a situation like this, you do not just take into account the weight of the goods. You have to take into account the weight of the person carrying the goods as well. Because somebody's got to go with the goods to load and unload the lift. So work out the total weight of the boxes. 5 times 100 is 500 kilograms. That's straightforward. Work out the weight of the boxes plus Aaron's 90 kilograms, which is equal to 590 kilograms. Remember, the lift can only take 500 kilograms, so he'll need to take more than one trip. Work out how many trips he needs to take. On the first trip, he can take himself and 4 boxes, which is under 500 kilograms. On the second trip, he can take himself and 1 box, which is just 190 kilograms. He can even vary how much he needs to take per trip as long as he does not exceed 500 kilograms. So it will take around 2 trips to take all the boxes in the lift. You have some practice questions here. Read them very carefully. This is more advanced questions, so you need to be careful. Question 1 is straightforward because it's about conversion. Okay? Question 2. Ewa is designing a child's chair. The chair needs to be able to carry a weight of 40 kilograms. How many 10 kilogram weights will Ewa need to test the strength of the chair? Question 3. Damon is a jockey. He competes in the local horse race. He and his equipment have a weight less than 57 kilograms. Damon weighs 51 kilograms and his equipment weighs 5,400 grams. Can Damon take part in the race? Explain your answer. Question 4. Washing powder comes in 3 different sized boxes. 1 kilogram, 2.5 kilogram and 5 kilogram. Finn wants to buy exactly 14 kilograms of washing powder. What is the smallest number of boxes Finn can buy? Summer has made, question 5, Summer has made 20 kilograms of chili. There are 100 grams of chili in a portion. How many portions of chili has Summer made? And you can find your answers here to the 5 questions. Be careful, question 3, you have to explain a little bit. We'll go on to capacity now. Capacity is about volume and capacity. So we need to know what volume, what capacity is. Volume is the amount of 3D space something takes up. That's on the outside, if you like. And then capacity is how much something will hold. Now, these beakers have the same capacity. They can hold the same amount of liquid, but they have different volumes of liquid in them. That is the amount of space, 3D space, the liquid in them take. Example, what is the volume of the liquid in this beaker? The liquid in the beaker comes to halfway between 10 ml and 20 ml. So 15 is halfway between 10 and 20. Therefore, the beaker contains 15 ml of liquid. You see how we use measures now. Units of capacity. Common units of volume and capacity are milliliters or mil and liters. L is used to represent liter. And we know that 1 liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters. To change between mil and liter, you can multiply or divide by 1,000. To change from mil to liter, you divide by 1,000. To change from liter to mil, you multiply by 1,000. You'll find that a lot of decimals will come into play when you're doing these types of problems. Example, how many mils are in 3 liters? Answer, you're going from liter to mil, so you have to multiply by 1,000 and your answer is 3,000 mil or milliliters. Let's look at some questions involving capacity and volume. Example, Andrew needs to measure out 15 ml of vanilla essence. He has one 10 ml and one 2.5 ml measuring spoon. How can Andrew accurately measure out his vanilla essence? The answer, he can measure out 10 ml using the 10 ml measuring spoon. Then he can measure out 2 lots of 2.5 ml using the 2.5 ml measuring spoon. Because 10 ml plus 2.5 plus 2.5 is equal to 15 ml. You can't accurately measure out 5 ml using half of the 10 ml spoon. And likewise, to measure 10 ml using the 2.5 ml spoon might cause a little bit of inaccuracy. We have some practice questions here. Imran needs to use 500 ml of wine to make a stew. His measuring jug only measures in liters. How many liters of wine should he use? Note he only has a measuring jug that only measures in liters. Brianna wants to paint her dining room. She needs 10 liters of paint. The paint only comes in 2-liter tins. How many tins of paint does Brianna need to buy? Note what she needs and what's available. Jason pours the water shown in the containers on the right into his water bottle. The capacity of his water bottle is 1 liter. How much space is left in his water bottle in milliliters? And question 4. Hayden is designing a new cocktail. He wants it to fit in a jug that holds 400 ml. The ingredients he uses are shown below. 0.25 liters of orange, 50 ml of lemonade, 50 ml of cranberry juice, and 1.1 liter of lime juice. Will the cocktail fit into the jug? Explain your answer. And these are your answers. Note question 4, you have to explain. And your answer is either yes or no. And then the explanation is where you show the calculation. Let's look at time now. You need to understand the different units of time, because we cannot live without being aware of the time in any circumstance. Time has lots of different units. You need to be able to use lots of different units for time. You also need to be able to change between them. Here are how some of the units of time are related. You read them down in columns, please. 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute, 60 minutes, 1 hour, 24 hours, 1 day. Column 2, 7 days is equal to 1 week, 365 days is a year, and 12 months is equal to 1 year. Then column 3, 10 years is a decade, 100 years is a century. Just below that in the shaded area, you look at the face of the clock. 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour. 30 minutes is half an hour. And 45 minutes is 3/4 of an hour, as we usually tell the time in a 12-hour clock. The 12-hour clock and 24-hour clock, let's look at the difference. You can give the time using the 12-hour clock or the 24-hour clock. The 24-hour clock goes from 0 hours or midnight to 23:59, 1 minute before midnight. 100 hours is 1 o'clock in the morning. 1300 hours is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The 12-hour clock goes from 12 a.m. or midday to 11:59, 1 minute before noon. And then from 12 p.m. or noon, not p.m., until 11:59 p.m., 1 minute before midnight. 3 a.m. is 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 p.m. is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. For times in the afternoon, you need to add 12 hours to go from 12 hours clock to 24-hour clock. You take away 12 hours to go from 24-hour clock to 12-hour clock. Here is your diagram beneath. 12-hour clock, 8:15 p.m. You add 12 hours, that will take you 20:15 in the 24-hour clock. And you do vice versa. From the 24-hour clock, you take 12 hours off that, and you'll have 8:15 p.m. Practice questions. How many minutes are there in 2 hours? Question 1. 2. How many years are there in 3 decades? How many minutes is 240 seconds? Change the times below from 24-hour clock to 12-hour clock. A. 900 hours. B. 1645. Change the times below from 12-hour clock to 24-hour clock. A. 5:15 p.m. B. 7:05 a.m. Question 6. Chloe gets to a bus stop at 10:47 p.m. The last bus leaves at 22:55. Has she missed it? And there is your answer from question 1 to question 6. Read it carefully, and whatever you got right, don't forget the part on the back, celebrate. Whatever you didn't get right, don't worry. We learn from our mistakes. Just find out where you went wrong and correct your mistakes. Working out lengths of time. To work out how long something took, break it into parts. This is important. Example, Claire caught a train at 8:30 a.m. and arrived at 11:17 a.m. How long was the journey? And there's your explanation. Cut it in chunks of 30 minutes and 2 hours and then 17 minutes. The total time. So 8:30 add 30 minutes will take you to 9. 9 a.m. add 2 hours will take you to 11 a.m. and then add the remaining 17 minutes will take you to 11:17. Add up the hours and minutes separately. 2 hours is there. Then 30 minutes plus 17 minutes is 47 minutes. Then you can answer your question now. So the journey took 2 hours and 47 minutes. You may need to work out what time something will happen. For example, what time something will start or finish, or when to meet someone. The best way to do this is to split the time into chunks, similar to what we did previously. Example 1. Melissa is visiting her sister. The drive takes 3 hours and 30 minutes. She will stop at the service station for a 20-minute break. If she leaves at 6 p.m., what time should she arrive? It's a long journey, 3 hours and 30 minutes plus 20 minutes break. I've actually given you the clue. Look at the mapping at the bottom there. She starts at 6 p.m. She did 3 hours, which takes her up to 9 p.m. And then an extra 30 minutes, which takes her to 9:30 p.m. Then she took a 20 minutes break. So Melissa should arrive at 9:50. It doesn't matter where in the journey she takes the break, because as long as she keeps to the time, she will arrive at 9:50. Example 2. Pranav is meeting a friend for lunch. He has a half-hour meeting with his bank manager that starts at 11 o'clock. Remember, the starting time is important. He has some shopping to do straight after the meeting, which will take 40 minutes. So the bank manager's meeting, half an hour, and then the shopping, 40 minutes. It will then take him 25 minutes to drive to the cafe for lunch. And what is the earliest time Pranav should arrange to meet his friend? Let's look at how we solve this problem. What is the earliest time Pranav should arrange to meet his friend? So, 11 a.m. lunch. He goes to the bank and spends 30 minutes with his bank manager. That will take him to 11:30 a.m. Then he has to do a 40-minute shopping spree. Split it. The first half an hour from 11:30 will take him to 12, and then the additional 10 minutes will take him from 12 to 12:10. That's 40 minutes spent. And then jump in the car, drive for 20 minutes. That will take him to 12:30, and then another 5 minutes, which will take him to 12:35. So the earliest you can be at the cafe is 12:35 p.m. And here is your practice question, set 4. A film starts at 7:15 p.m. and finishes at 9:30 p.m. How long is the film? Don't forget to break your time down into hours, 30 minutes, and if there's any remainder, you add the remainder. Daj catches a bus at 8:55 a.m. Gets off at 11:47 a.m. How long was the bus journey? Chris is cooking dinner. His recipe says it will take 35 minutes to prepare and 45 minutes to cook. If he starts at 6:30 p.m., what time will the dinner be ready? Mary arrives at a museum at 3:35 p.m. The museum closes at 5:15 p.m. How long will it take Mary to be able to spend in the museum? Flavia has 6 wedding invitations to make. It takes her 20 minutes to make each invitation. She'll stop for half an hour to eat dinner. If she starts at 7:45, what time will she finish? And then we have question 6. Ashley would like to go to the theater to see a show that starts at 19:30. He usually gets home from work at 5:45 p.m. He reckons it will take him half an hour to get ready and 45 minutes to drive to the theater. He wants to leave himself a quarter of an hour to find a parking space. Will he be able to get to the theater on time? Note this question. 2 units are used, 24-hour clock and 12-hour clock. You need to be able to convert those before you can find the answer. And those are your answers. Okay, a couple of things. 1, you can give your answer in hours or minutes. Questions 1, 2, and 4. And then question 6, your answer is either yes or no. Then you explain how you arrived at your answer. That's where you have to do some calculations and show you're working. As you know, I always ask you to summarize what you've learned by going through the video again and making notes, doing all the exercises. By the time you finish, you will be able to make a reasonable list summarizing what you've learned. Then you can compare it with mine. You have now covered the following. That's my list. The definition of weight, the units involved in weight, the difference between volume and capacity, the units involved in capacity, questions relating to capacity and volumes. You have also covered the different units of time, which will enable you to determine whether it's PM or AM, hours and minutes, and so on. You've covered the difference between 12 hours and 24-hour clocks. You also have covered how to work out the lengths of time. And what I didn't add here is how time progresses from seconds to minutes, from minutes to hours, from hours to days, from days to weeks, from weeks to months, from months to years, and so on. And also you know the quarters, 15, half an hour, 45 minutes of the clock face. And that's our lesson for today. Again, as I told you at the start, this is 3 topics in one lesson. This lesson has taken us a little longer, but I think it will be worth it because all you have to do is, on one video, you can use it to cover all these topics which you are going to need if you plan to take the exam. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson, and I'll see you next time.